If you really, and I mean serious, not joking here, if you really want to increase and maximize your VA disability, there's no gimmick, there's no secret hack, there's no linchpin claim like tinnitus. It all comes down to evidence. And what I'm going to show you below is a pinned comment to an old one-on-one video I did about 6 months ago. That veteran reached out. This is anonymous, by the way. I'm not going to give away their information. They are now 100% PNT. And I'm going to show you exactly what her situation is, what my recommendations were, and what actually ended up being the result. And so here it is. This is the Word document that I keep anytime I do a one-on-one with someone. You can see it's not anonymous. So that happened in March, less than 6 months ago. Okay, I'm an idiot. Years of service, 2 active, 13 guard, Korea, Saudi, PACT Act, yes. And so how I start this, and the one-on-one video goes through the creation of all of this on how we got this information. But how we start is first I look at everything they were service connected for, and this veteran was an 87%. That is what I call a bad 90. There are bad 90s and there are good 90s. A bad 90 is 85 to 89%. 89 depending on if there's a bilateral factor there, because a 50 would push that to 95, rounding up to 100. That's what I call a bad 90. A good 90 is 90 to 94. Obviously, the closer you are to 95%, the better that 90% is. But that is a huge factor when it comes to recommending VA disability, because the last thing you want to do is quote unquote poke the bear, but then this 87% becomes 91, which in reality doesn't do anything for you because it stays at 90. So that's definitely a factor at play when veterans are at 90%, more so than other percentages. Once you hit that 90 mark, it's a lot harder. It's more difficult math-wise, VA math-wise, to go to 100%. But here's what they were service connected for, okay? Migraines, this is mental health, lumbar strain, we have sciatica, cervical strain, right ankle, left ankle, and tinnitus. And denials were bilateral dry eye and TMJ. Now I can tell you, just looking, and I don't even remember this one-on-one. I haven't went back and watched it before recording this. I can tell you right now, that's not something I'm going to recommend, because eye conditions are largely 0%, unless we're talking about blindness. Okay, if you need trauma or any sort of incident caused any kind of blindness or eyesight issue, and I'm not talking about glasses here, I'm talking about you're legally blind in one eye or both eyes, the juice just ain't worth the squeeze, in my opinion, for most veterans. Obviously, there's the exception, and TMJ is definitely a stalled claim, but it also depends on each veteran's situation. So this one right here is like a 99% no for me. This one right here is a maybe, just looking at this. Now, it did take some notes. So she had an intent to file in March. She's being seen by, VA chiropractor, mental health, and podiatry, okay? Mental health, current evidence, more panic attacks, irritable. So based on this evidence alone, this is my shorthand paraphrase, okay? The one-on-one video conversation really outlines what that looks like. You can see the mental health increase here with the personal statement. There's the link to that. Was one of my recommendations to this veteran, along with migraines. And so her migraines are service connected at 30%. We talked about migraines going to 50, and then to prepare the higher level review if it came back at 30%. And another claim was bruxism, new condition, although they would definitely rope that under mental health. If you're going to go ahead and submit the increase, just get everything all out at once. And shin splints, and notice how there's 3 colors here. There's green, there's kind of this orangish, which is like caution, and then this red claims, meaning, hey, I'm going to give you all of your options, but here are my recommendations. And so I gave this veteran all their options, and I kind of color coded to, at least according to me and my opinion, and their situation, based on their evidence and what they spoke about, how to actually proceed with their claim. And the end result is this veteran was awarded 100% PNT. their mental health went from 30% to 70% with bruxism. And bada bing, bada boom, those were two of the green claims. Now, migraines did stay the same, and had this veteran not be 100% P&T from mental health alone, 1,000,000,000% would have been a higher level review, because I know they had the evidence for that 50% rating, right? Or at least a shot at it. HIP was denied as a secondary, and that's something that we had discussed. However, looking at, and it's something that's in caution. And to tell you why I put it in the caution color is because regardless of what YouTube tells you, musculoskeletal conditions secondary to other musculoskeletal conditions, and that was a mouthful, are extremely difficult. So for instance, lower back secondary to knee pain, or hip conditions secondary to back. All of those musculoskeletal conditions, although not impossible, they are just difficult. And if you look at how hips are rated, largely rated at 0% because the range of motion is such a wide angle. Pretty much if you can cross your ankles, and I'm paraphrasing 38 CFR here. Obviously, 38 CFR does not say cross your ankles. But if you're able to cross your ankles, you're probably, not always, but you're probably looking at 0%. And so that, at least with my opinion, that's why I put that in a caution area, because it's saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and claim it because we are poking the bear, right? And I hate that phrase. But anytime you submit your claims, do it all at once, okay? Even if it's just bruxism at 0%, just if you're submitting the claim, get everything all out all at once. Don't do this piecemeal baloney. Just submit the claims all at once. But hey, this veteran, according to, the 5-step process, I'm not saying I made it up. It's just a methodology that I like to use, okay? I don't know where it came from, but when I look at a veteran's situation, the 5-step process in this order goes increases, secondaries, denials, new claims, and presumptives. Increases are by far the easiest. That's what VA claims consulting companies hone in on, because it is the easiest. And clearly here, this veteran went for mental health, 30 to 70% with the help of DAV, which pushed them to 100% P&T. Easy, okay? The next step is secondaries. We look at what your service connected for, and then talk about different secondaries. So we had mentioned the hip here. The next is denials. I'm looking at dry eye syndrome in TMJ. If I remember correctly, there was almost no evidence for TMJ, so it's just not worth it. Now, had the veteran had evidence, that's a different story, okay? But I don't believe they did. And then the dry eye thing, it's like, hey, claim it, but based on what you're telling me, I don't think it's worth it, right? Now, blindness would have been a whole nother story. So that's increases, secondaries, denials. The fourth one is new claims. If you have access to your service treatment records, just comb through there, right? Look at your complaints, look at your entrance exam, and compare that with your exit exam. That's an absolute solid base to figure out, hey, here are some things I can potentially claim that I have in-service events for. Side note, you're going to need a current diagnosis. No diagnosis, no claim, heads up, okay? And then lastly is that PACT Act. If the veteran rates presumptives, okay, largely PACT Act, then you look at PACT Act related claims. This veteran didn't really have any diagnosis or symptoms of anything PACT Act related, which is why we didn't go for it. Okay, we only submit evidence-based claims. We could have absolutely submitted 20 other different claims with no evidence, but they would all be denied, and this veteran certainly would have not had their decision for the increase from March all the way to about June, July-ish timeframe. But that's it. The process does work. Use the 5 steps. There are tons of videos I have on the 5 steps. Use them, and you too can maximize your VA disability if you have the evidence.